Just like that, another day in the books, huh? Getting crazy. Getting crazy. Another day in the books. Still working on the online store for all the people. Unfortunately, can't do them outside the U.S. So that's the only crappy part. But aside from that, it's coming along. I got through A and B. I have to go through the entire alphabet. There's like 120 products total. So it's going to be a little while. Um, but it's going well. Rohith, how we doing? See you popping in there. Of course, we got YouTube tonight. We got TikTok up here too. Let me actually scooch you fellas a little closer. Fellas and fillettes, or whatever you say for females. All right, there we go. We got both these suckers dialed in now. How you guys doing? Nas, we got the day ones popping in here. Rohith and Nas, much appreciated. But yeah, we got that online store coming. That'll be really cool. Just to help, because sometimes I'll be on the phone and like busy with a bunch of stuff, and people are calling me trying to order things and they can't, or like for during these lives. I will very soon here. Once we get to 1,000 followers, we got like 14 left to go, so we're right there. We're right there. Um, Good weather today. Yeah, we got quite the storm coming, Nas. Me and you. Apparently, I don't know. There's all this hype about this freaking storm, and I guarantee we're gonna get like an inch of snow and be like, wow. I hope not. I kind of like crazy storms like that, so that'll be fun. But that's coming Sunday, so it'll be a day I don't come to the office. That's for sure. I mean, I have a couple tables here, exam table, adjusting table, so I could technically sleep here, but I don't know. Yeah, I know. Snow's going to get crazy. So, like I said, kind of excited for it. But what do we got? What's today? 21st, 22nd, something like that. Um, I'm getting my tea for the push. Sorry, not following the no sugar month. That's all right. You could start at any time. It doesn't have to be January. It's the 22nd. Thank you, Nas. It's hard to keep track, you know. Oh, we got a new name popping in. I don't know if sorry if you have been in here before, but she says, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Let me know where you guys are popping in from. YouTube's starting to fill up in here. We got a bunch of people popping in, so we'll get started. Trying to make sure I got all our ducks in a row here before we dive in to the questions as you guys throw them in there. He says, let's talk about sugar, my favorite subject. Isn't it everyone's? Everybody loves sugar. It's the one thing you like can overdo today, can wake up tomorrow and overdo again. It's like pretty wild that way. But for the first time, this is actually the YouTube camera looks better than the freaking TikTok one. That's kind of wild. Um, but Eunice likes sugar a lot, it appears. Maybe needs some gymnema, help with those sweet cravings. Thank you, Nas. I hate sugar, she says. I don't know if that's true. Everybody loves it. It's your number one. Ooh, okay. Bree, my 2-year-old acts crazy on Tylenol. Why would this be? An allergy? We do die free. All those things. That's a really good question. I wonder if that's affecting something with the liver, and now she can't detoxify those things. I mean, it's still the number one reason for liver transplants every year, Tylenol. So, definitely worth. Um, I would wonder why, what she's taken that for. There's definitely plenty of options. So, fire away. I would wonder why. As we're waiting for Bree's response there, we got a very funny screen name. Recently got tested positive for a blood clot in my lung. Oh my goodness. It's what's my mom passed from. Hello from Toronto. Oh my goodness. Screen not letting me scroll. She passed at 28. I'm 24. Wow. I'm scared I will end up the same. I would wonder what the game plan is to figure out what is creating the clotting factors to take place there. I definitely want you cutting sugar out completely for the next 2 weeks. I would like to see you start doing some kinase as well as K2, vitamin K2, just because you can better direct calcium, which can definitely affect a clot because you're going to want, or your body's going to want to lay down calcium on top of a clot that creates more of an inflammatory response. And it's sort of a never ending cycle there. But kinase does help break down clots, and that's directly from medical journals. So, pretty wild. I would wonder about vaccine history. I would wonder about what the game plan is. I would probably want to run advanced cardiac markers on you. So a cardiometabolic panel is what we call ours. But oh my goodness, I cannot scroll today. It's freaking annoying. Do you ever have a case with brachial issues? No. We do it for fevers now and then, but you get super hyper on it. Yeah, so the fever's killing the bugs on the inside. So I would wonder why you would want to suppress that. You want to burn, baby, burn. All right, where are we at? My D-dimer test, 0.54. So low positive, which is nice to hear. I don't know. We're getting some actor names tonight. Not ones I've seen before. Usually it's Evan Peters. There was actually a new one yesterday. I didn't get a chance to look it up because I don't have my computer here in front of me. I just got the two phones. But now, if Jake Gyllenhaal and Sebastian Stan had a child, interesting. Somebody from Finland says hello. Actually, my sauna's coming in really soon, so I'm excited. And you're Finnish, so you get it. Probably jumping into a cold, freezing lake right now. Okay, let me try this setting. Oh, look at this! I could scroll so easy. Okay, let me cover these. Did I go to Emory Med School? No. I have been I have to be on 600 milligrams of ibuprofen for about a month for pericarditis. How do I protect my kidneys? I like nettle leaf and albizia. Those are both tinctures. Dilation of kidneys. There's some other ones too, like cordyceps mushroom and a couple others, but those should give you adequate protection there. Hello from London. Hello. My goodness. Across the pond there. I've had peripheral neuropathy in both feet for a year in conjunction with lupus. I would want you to cut your sugars immediately. I would want you doing a B complex supplementation just to help with the nerve endings, which will give you very close to immediate relief there. The lupus scenario, the autoimmunity, all these things, all those things, you have to figure out the immune triggers. I would also, obviously, vitamin D is going to be huge. You want that probably around 85, 90 right now. I would need a little bit more patient history to dial in a perfect number, but food, that's going to be triggering. So we need to run labs that are going to show what's contributing to the inflammatory bucket, because your body's not programmed to attack its own body or its own cells or damage its own tissues and things. That's only when there's chronic immune stressors taking place. So food's a big one. But if you already have some of those labs already, send me a message and I'll give you my email and I can take a peek, see what we need. Shoot, I think Catherine said hello. Yes, she did. Hello, Catherine. What's going on? Reply to them. Yes. Oh, that's a TikTok talking to me. Cool. All right. What the hell's going on in YouTube here? David Goggins. What the? Okay. 20 negative 25. Jesus. Do I know David Goggins? Why are you guys so obsessed with David Goggins? He's awesome. I'm not taking shots at him. By the way, I just saw this podcast from um, blah blah blah. I was curious, was she having like any disease after coming? And there is a rumor like people go to space die sooner. Uh, I I do not understand that question. I'm sorry. Doc, how's life been? It's been good. Greek, Italian, Italian, full blown. I like Persian or North African. Interesting. Jim, you got it right. Full blown. And Nas giving us, yep, could be Persian. Jeez, dude. The freaking YouTube chat was normal yesterday. Now it's crazy again. Either way, TikTok has normal messages here. I also had a lot of the same health issues. She had like a horseshoe kidney, high function liver. Party? Did I go to med school? No, this is all holistic advice. Undergrad as an athletic trainer, and then did um, graduate school as chiropractic school, and then after that became part of the Wellness Way, and been doing that the last 5 years. So, what causes night terrors in children? Usually, trouble converting certain neurotransmitters down is probably the number one piece I see. I'll have certain people with higher um, serotonin or dopamine, maybe even GABA can lead to some of that too. Probably GABA being the biggest one. But if people are taking valerian or passion flower, alcydonia, things like that, you can see some of that happen where dreams are really vivid, night terrors, things like that. I've also seen a lot of connections to the GI as well, because that's where neurotransmitters are being produced. So I would start with the GI, knowing that she's young, and explore from there. And gabapentin is all the doctors can prescribe, and the side effects are awful. So I wanted more of a natural thing. Karen, did I miss your um, first message? Maybe. Oh yeah. The lupus neuropathy. Um, well, so there's not going to be in the natural world. There's not going to be a direct cure for things. Straight up, there's not going to be one or two things you could take and make stuff go away. Sometimes that's the case, but most of the time you got to figure out why it's happening. So unstable connection. What the? We'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, I mean, the medication's going to be there to help buy you some time and shut down symptoms. Is that gonna like? Do you have a gabapentin deficiency? I've never seen that on a lab result, so kind of a joke there. But what are you deficient in? What are you in excess in? What are the daily stressors leading to that? Whether it be mental, chemical, physical stress. You could throw a couple pebbles in your shoe, walk on that for 10 hours a day. That will lead to some hormonal problems. Your mood will change, blood pressure, all that stuff. So I know that's a very extreme example. It's now extrapolating that out to daily stressors. Jim says that Nas makes you feel uncomfortable. Well, you're a psycho if that's the case. Nas is awesome. Okay, let's get back in order here. Somebody says pseudoscience. Well, all my patients are from medical providers, and they all come in with no answers, and then they leave with answers. So, I mean, it's health freedom, certainly a choice. You can do whatever the heck you want. You could go and take a pill and get surgeries and do that. You could do that. I'm not going to stop you. Um, but yeah, that doesn't make you healthy. You're, yeah, literally. There's not a single medication deficiency, not a single one. But there are nutrient deficiencies. All right, let's get back on track here. Hi, my sister is having fear of losing her memory or forgetting how to breathe. She feels like and then you got cut off. She feels like okay, the last part of the message kind of got cut off there. But anxiety tips. I mean, my favorite two are going to be California poppy paired with kava, two of the best ones for dumping out the catecholamines. So norepinephrine, epinephrine, um, even some pickup in dopamine, some in serotonin, reduction in pain from the California poppy. Da, da, da. Those are kind of the highlights. Obviously, you're going to get all the flavonoids, alkaloids, resins, antioxidants from all those things. So, yes, I have IS. I don't know what that means. In England, we get told results, but not able to get copies. What? Those are your labs. What the hell? That's um that's pretty nuts. Best way to get rid of eczema. Well, your skin's going to react whenever it's trying to get toxicity out or if you're becoming deficient in things. So, I see histamine responses lead to things like this. I see disruption within the GI, whether that be overgrowth of opportunistic infections or disruption of your own microbiota, the beneficial ones. Also, food reactions. And those are kind of the big ones, especially for a younger kid and with some of the things you've mentioned in here prior to. I would test foods and the GI. Um, okay, and then we have our friend Diego here. I'm going to kind of skip a few to tackle Diego's, just because it helps kind of explain stuff. Haters are welcome, guys. Haters are welcome. So, what does he say? Answers aren't always the right answers with a broken heart. I don't know what that's referring to. Medications are developed to facilitate a cascade of events, not to treat a deficiency, lol. Well, yeah, they never could treat a deficiency. It's to change a physiological response in the body. Um, None of them make you healthy again. So you can mitigate responses. This is not my opinion here. This is directly every single one of them has negative side effects. So where are we here? Okay, let's go back. I skipped a few. I also have tachycardia. So it can be potassium citrate deficient, can be magnesium deficient. Also, the reaction that happens with EMF and basically the signaling that we're getting from everything that produces electricity or gives off some type of signal, that's going to create some subatomic chaos at the cell walls, opening calcium channels like crazy. On the other side of that calcium channel is magnesium to control it. So this is why you see a bunch of POTS people and a lot of people with tachycardia turn to magnesium and they have to take it in crazy amounts because all of this, even the two phones, especially if you get like a meter for it, it's pretty shocking how high these signals go. It's doing a little mic check there. But I think it's probably a piece of those two. The anxiety piece, that can be a part of it too. But yeah, I mean it's hard with limited info on here. So all right, well, where are we at with YouTube's chats here? Just let me know if someone puts um a normal thing in here. My country's controlling the farm. I mean, yeah. What are you talking about? All things health related. Whoa, whoa. Crazy comments going over there. Anyways, no medication makes you healthy again. What about antibiotics to treat bacterial infections? Yeah, but does your body lack an antibiotic? Is what I'm getting at. And what led to the microbial overgrowth in the first place? Immunodeficiencies, excess sugar, poor poor beneficial bacterial growth. So, and some people are on the other side of that spectrum. Some people overproduce their own bacteria, and now it gets even worse. That's why I have people take probiotic, get 10 times worse. So, yeah, um, we are the. Let me remind everybody really quick. We are the sickest we've ever been as a country. There is more money spent on healthcare, on research, on diagnostics, on doctors, nurses, PAs, all this stuff. The health in our country continues to decline. Childhood illnesses, all time high. Adult illnesses, all time high. Every single chronic condition is at an all time high. It's not going down. The thinking has not changed. If you keep spraying the house down with the water, like an antibiotic, the house starts to rot after a while. This is why every single patient, after taking prolonged periods of antibiotics, become depleted within their own. And that allows for infections to continue and come back. So, what are we saying here? It's like, dude, what can I do to calm my nervous system and feel normal? I've been feeling on edge most of the time. California poppy and L-theanine would be my two there. Okay. I'd like to know after you break your arm, so painful, what would you do? That you need a cast for. Anytime there's an emergent scenario, that's what medicine's actually for. It's for when the house is on fire. It's for when you break an arm, when you have a heart attack, because they can give you medications to change that reaction in your body to buy you time so you can get a cast put on, keep the pain down. And but what about rebuilding that bone? Are you getting directions as to how much vitamin D to be doing? Are you getting directions as to how much K2 to be taken so that you can take all that calcium, put it back into the bone? Are you getting directions on doing things like bone broth, doing things like astragalus, things like Romania that crank up hematopoietic stem cells like crazy so you can regrow that bone? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. Like there's a time and a place. When the house is on fire, that's when you call the fire department. You don't call a dentist. But you need to rebuild that house at some point, or else you can be on meds forever and it starts to rot. So, okay. Patricia, let's see where we're at here. Patricia, sorry for the earthquakes. This stand is a little more wobbly than my other stand. So, Patricia, you're not a real doctor. How many times have I heard that? Not a real doctor, but All the real doctor's patients come to me. Either way. Okay, we handled the anxiety, handled the arm one. Tweety, how we doing? So I have a history of internal bleeding. Oh my goodness. What classifies as long antibiotic use? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that just end on them again and again and again without searching for why that's happening. And that's pretty much my whole point here. So, okay, you just got to mog them to death. Is wheat inflammatory? Yes. Very easy one. Doke. Jamie, any advice on how to avoid extreme fatigue with hypothyroidism? I feel drained all day, every day. You got to get a full thyroid panel, and I want to see some adrenal markers on there too. So I would say, blood work wise, you want to do full thyroid panel. That's all 11 markers. And a Dutch test on top of that so that we can see and map out your circadian rhythm, how much metabolized cortisol is being cranked out throughout the day, how much free cortisol is being made. Then you can understand, okay, where should I be supporting with what? There will also be some organic acids on that test too. So if you know something is coming from the GI, there will be some inflammatory markers on there. Um, and honestly, hypothyroidism usually paired with some form of autoimmunity, and usually Hashimoto's or some other form. And if you don't figure out the immune triggers, you're going to be fatigued forever. What to do in the meantime? Some licorice would do you very well. Some licorice, maybe even a one capsule of adrenal glandular in the morning. Like I said, online store getting set up. So, um, but I would start there because a full thyroid panel is going to have other markers on there too, like vitamin D, like all these other things that are contributing to the fatigue. So, yeah, I would do thyroid panel, Dutch test, start with some licorice, and just that alone, you'll notice a difference. It's now, okay, how do we get the adrenals to start regulating? How do we get the thyroid issue to correlate and correct? Um, Dietarily, there's plenty you can do there. Iodine, selenium, so your Brazil nuts, your rich sea veggies, or even fatty fish too. Yeah, start there. And if you need lab testing or anything, send me a message. Doc, how to lower creatinine? What is best to do? You got to figure out why it's high. And usually this is some breakdown issues affecting the kidneys. So I would want you to promote some stomach acid here, things like betaine HCl. I would also like to see, again, with the albizia, nettle leaf, possibly even dandelion root too, or maybe swap that one out for cordyceps because cordyceps mushroom just been shown to do the nephrons of the kidney very well, and now it's essentially breakdown of going from a complete protein all the way down to getting ready to pee that out or the waste products of that. So obviously you're going to poop out those proteins, but there's a there's a urinary process that breaks that down and um, nitrogen and all that stuff too. So you'll see bun. I would actually want to know if bun is toward the higher end of that range. I would want to know where EGFR is, so your filtration rate, and calcium would be nice to know too. Sodium, things like that, can be mineral deficiencies, can be a lot of things. The kidneys do a lot. The kidneys filter so much blood, like every minute. So start with those two, and if you have the rest of that lab too, send it over because just because it's in the range doesn't mean it's perfect or functional. So, you know, Like, for example, Bun will be at 19 and it gets flagged high at like 2021. Should you wait until it gets high to start, you know, doing some repair work there? I mean, you can. It's again your opinion. You're in charge of what happens here. That's the beauty of it all. So, okay, I've ignored YouTube for too long now. What about stress? Stress again, L-theanine and California poppy. If you do nothing else from this live, those two things will change your life. I have California poppy right here. This is how you prevent those cortisol spikes when the haters are coming in, and just talk to them like a normal person. You can disagree. I think it's crazy how people can't disagree nowadays. It's like you can think differently than I do. That's totally cool. You're totally entitled to do so. So, um, telling me how to do my job, that's where we start to get some issues. Also, see a or nephrologist. How to get over trauma. I want to clarify what trauma is in your vocab there, because in my profession, mental, chemical, physical stress, or thoughts, toxins, and trauma, that's the origination of my profession here. So, mental stress is not trauma in my profession. Trauma is physical stress. If it's a mental stressor, um, probably a consultation with somebody from NCI, so neurocognitive influence. Pretty awesome what they can do, and just talk through, one, learn who you are and what you react to, what your social needs are, how you make decisions, what you value, and then hone in on that trauma and pretty much put a spotlight on it and work it out of your system. Obviously, there are physical things you can do that will impact mental stress. I think massage is beautiful. I've had patients go to, I recommend massage quite a bit, and especially for stressed out people, because when you get stressed out like crazy, what happens to your shoulders? You get super tight, you got a bunch of knots in there. And that's just another example of how a mental stress will create physical symptoms. So that can be happening to you too. And your body will hold that trauma in different places. I know that sounds kind of voodoo y, but I've seen it a bunch where women just bawl their eyes out, and it's like, in a good way, They're not like hurting or anything. They're like getting an emotional release. Tony Robbins, that's a new one. That's a new one. Usually Evan Peters. I always forget the names you guys call me. You guys like calling me names though, or actors or something. What specialty are you? Health restoration from a holistic standpoint. And again, medications, surgeries, that is what the medical profession is for. And there's a time and a place. If I started having a heart attack, guess what number I'm calling? It's not a local holistic lady down the street, because she's not going to do open heart surgery on me. She can't save my life in that way. Um, but yeah, and extrapolating that out, diabetes, infertility, autoimmunity, there are medical things you can do. Um, I just see the value in going beyond that, and not that it's not an insult to anybody's intelligence or anything, because that's just a different way of thinking, to be quite honest. Because when I say somebody has autoimmunity, I want to turn to the GI. I want to run a GI exam, or a GI lab and a GI exam. People go, there's no research on that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I read it from the medical journals. What the hell are you talking about? So, medical research, medical practice never match up. Again, I'm not trying to take shots here, but this is what I see every day, and it's hard to ignore. So, yeah, Walter White Jr., I get that one too. That's a funny one. Hello from Erica. Hello. Laura Bolt popping in here. Oh, shoot. I missed a bunch. What the hell has been going on here? Bum, bum, bum. I've been sick. I called in work. I've been sleeping all day. Need to find something to help me with morning sickness. Calcium lactate powder. If any of you are pregnant, mix some aloe vera juice with calcium lactate powder. You will send me love letters by how quickly the reduction in nausea is. Um, yeah, we'll let the truth speak for itself. So, Barney, recommendations for really bad memory loss due to diabetic coma in 4 years. There's a lot of repair work that needs to happen here. Um, starting place would be bacopa, ginkgo, and lion's mane mushroom. The first two are not mushrooms, but bacopa, ginkgo, and lion's mane. I know a lot of the names are really weird. They're plant names. These are herbal extracts or medicinal mushrooms or glandulars. Sometimes individual vitamins, but very few of those because that's not how the body works. You need whole food forms of these things. That's why we have tinctures and all that. Yeah, I would start there. I would want to run at least blood work to start, and then we would have to go from there. So, mm, yeah. But Barney, send me a message. I can write that out for you too. Okie doke. But your training is chiropractic based. Every bit of my training is from that standpoint. Mental, chemical, physical stress are the only stressors you can come into contact with. From there, those three stressors create inflammatory responses. Inflammatory responses change the behavior of your nervous and immune systems. In doing so, you become deficient in things or toxic in things. Basically, less inhibited, don't have enough, or you have excess. So, people with crazy alcoholics, extremely deficient in B vitamins. Why is that? To get rid of the alcohol, your body has to get rid of a lot of B vitamins. It's a part of detoxification. And you're all detoxifying right now. So I'm not one of those people that are going to say, you need my detox protocol. It's like, what are you saying? Everybody detoxes, some better than others, and you can support those things. And I think testing shows you exactly what to do. In terms of the lab portion of this, the origination of chiropractic started with that. It started with D.D. Palmer working alongside medical docs that worked in his clinic. Everybody worked together. When there was a medical emergency, the MDs took care of it. When something needed to be managed because somebody's life would be taken, MDs step in, blood work, things like that. Um, and when you're in that gray area, which a lot of people are, probably the majority of people are in some gray area where you feel terrible, you have a bunch of symptoms, you go to the doctor, you're told everything's normal. And that's what patients tell me every day of my freaking life. I'll get off my soapbox, but you get the point. I just want to communicate these ideas as clear as possible. And please understand, I'm not taking shots at people. Not taking shots at people. I hope that makes sense. We'll see in the comments down below. I haven't looked at them, so. The effect of anxiety when dealing with physical trauma, i.e., disc herniations that cause muscle spasms. I mean, yeah, that's going to heighten everything. You could stub your toe and your anxiety's going to kick up. Blood pressure's going to change, heart rate's going to change, immune system responds, GI slows down. All you did was stub your toe. Oh my goodness. Physical stress, changing the whole body. Okie doke. What was, oh, NCI? There's no S. So just NCI. I believe their graduate program has consultations that they do. But yeah, it's just to figure out one, how you behave, how your childhood affected decision patterns, your value systems, the social needs you have for other people. Um, and then you can get that mapped out and just understand where your brain's coming from because we're all dogs. That's why I talk to you guys in simple. I talk about stubbing your toe. I talk about a pebble in your shoe because everybody can get that feeling and understand it well. So, yeah, neurocognitive influence. Really cool stuff. Really cool. How to grow hair. I don't know why that got filtered out. Like, what the heck? We'll talk about it though. How to grow hair. I'd assume this is talking about your head. Usually, people become deficient in a lot of cofactors and minerals. So, depending on if you're male or female, I would pick a glandular to do. Say are you female? I don't know. Say you're female. You can do something like female glandular that will have ovaries in there, uterus, and liver, so that you can get all those enzymes, cofactors, minerals, all the things from those, and start to rebuild and create things from that. Um, there's also DHT that can affect you a ton, 5 times stronger than testosterone, and that's a liver issue. You're not converting your androgens or your male hormones. We all have the same hormones. You're not converting them down quick enough. That has a lot to do with sugar. And I would want to ask questions about your cycle here too. But you can do some collagen, you can do some glandulars, see where that gets you, or it depends on how serious you are about this. Because now, in the online store I'm building out, and I could do this without it too, but there are basically self blood draw packs, and they're pretty darn cheap too. That you could basically get, accurate full assessments done, and say you want to do an expanded panel, you can just do 2 of them. So you don't have to go anywhere. There's no blood draw. You just slap it on your shoulder. It's pretty cool. Just came out like 2 weeks ago. So freaking awesome. I think it's cool because I hate needles. I hate getting blood draws. I hope there's some familiar people in the chat. We got some Jesus love coming in. What kind of doc are you? Holistic or health restoration from a holistic point of view? Okie doke. What do you think about ADHD meds? I was just diagnosed. I don't give those out. Um, I think there's a lot to do with excitatory neurotransmitters. I would probably want to run a ZRT lab so that we can see what neurotransmitters are being thrown off and inhibited and where that's coming from. So the GI is what creates all of those things, but it's a little more than that because your phone is also training that with all the short form content out there nowadays. That's just ruining the attention span of everybody. Dopamine, so something like Mucuna seed could change things drastically for everybody in here. Mucuna seed, it's a velvet part of a plant, and it has the highest amount of precursors for dopamine, L-dopa. So yeah, that would be my number one. And long term, you do want to correct the things in the GI that are leading to that response in the first place. I know I talk about testing a lot, but like I freaking can't not say it because it's just how you get the solutions that you're asking for. So you asked for it. um, absolutely from Sue. You're very welcome. I don't even know what I said, but you're welcome. I am always so anxious. What about my heart? What do you suggest? I would I would if the cardiac concerns are really a big thing, you can get a calcium score. You can walk into any hospital. They at a cash price, you can do it for $100. It'll scan the major vessels of your heart. It'll show you how calcified they are. So if you have blood vessels like this versus blood vessels like that, you want to know that. Stress will affect blood pressure. So, if the stress piece has gone on for a long period of time, well, I would want to look at your adrenal labs. Run something like a Dutch complete, or maybe just run the adrenal test alone, the Dutch adrenal. You do need a provider to order that for you. So send me a message. Um, very easy to do. Send it. And if you're in Canada, you could actually get it there too. Fun fact. Um, California poppy, L-theanine, test your adrenals. How to grow hair fast, collagen type 2, and I would do a glandular, depending on if you're male or female. That'll tell you which one. I, and then you got to figure out some other things there too. Are you a real doc or like a Dr. Phil? So people say that all the time. Um, when you're a medical doctor, you're a doctor of medicine. When you're a physical therapist, you're a doctor of physical therapy. When you're a chiropractor, you're a doctor of chiropractic. When you're an orthodontist, you're a doctor of. Okay. So there's a clear difference between a PhD, which is like the almighty doc, and then there's subsets of the profession that you're into. All of them are doctoral degrees. Why is this so confusing? I don't know. The AMA did a great job bashing my profession 100 years ago. So, but I don't know. Why didn't you just go for your PhD in medicine? I don't care to do surgery or medications. That's honestly it. Um, what I do is very rewarding, especially when somebody struggles for 15 years and have seen every single specialist, and then we work on them for 6 months, and there's almost no reason for somebody to come back. Like that's freaking incredible. When all their labs that have been totally torn up for 15 years in a row. Um, Jen just said it. Test, don't guess. We don't guess, we test. But yeah, it's again, it's not an identity attack. I'm not saying that other professions are not useful. I'm not saying these things. Please understand this. We can be friends, and coexist on the same earth. Isn't that crazy? Hi, I wish you the best. Thanks, dude. I just got some trazodone and sertraline. Thoughts on that? I mean, look them up. Dive in. Hippocrates, great resource. Hippocrates. So just remember the philosopher Socrates, and then replace that S with an E. Is that actually? No, it's close enough. But Hippocrates. It's just a great website that you can look at interactions between drug and food, drug and supplement, drug, and just know and hopefully explain some of the things that you feel when you start on those. I don't prescribe those things, so pretty limited in what I can say there, to say the least. Pun intended. Um, but yeah, are those the only options in the world? No, those aren't the only options. Because your neurotransmitters, 95% of them are created by the GI. So if you're going to take something that's just going to inhibit the feedback loop in your brain to hold on to those neurotransmitters longer, my approach would be to fix the GI, which is throwing off the neurotransmitters in the first place, right? Wouldn't that make a lot of sense? And that number, 90+% of the neurotransmitters, again, from a medical journal. Um, how do you think I learned about this? But I think L-theanine, California poppy, and run some labs. Sorry, I'll try to speed up. I see the chats are building up. I know I've been kind of lazily going through this, so we'll speed it up. We'll do some rapid fire. Hey, Doc, I'm not feeling good. Okay, let us know. Mikas. Oh no, hold on. Let's go back. I scrolled too fast. Boop, boop, boop. Where did we end up here? Covered the PhD. Why is the USA turning against science? I'm just reading the science and then applying it. So that's not true at all. How to grow hair. If you're talking about the food pyramid, like that thing should have been upside down for freaking 10 years at least. And vaccination, dude. Like, come on. Come on. Like, why aren't we testing people's immune systems? Where's your vitamin D? Those regulate T regulatory cells. That's probably one of the best supplements on the planet is vitamin D. What about your medicinal mushrooms that change natural killer cell function, that change your CD4s, CD8s, and all the cells that combat viral infections? It's like, am I going crazy or what? Um, for science, not against it. Science is an ever developing thing. As I said, I was gonna do rapid fire. Here I am, freaking sitting here taking my sweet ass time. Anyways, how to grow hair again. Watch the replay. I don't know. That's why alopecia autoimmune. Yeah, I think finding the immune triggers again. Food is going to be a huge component, but now it's looking for some of the some of the antigens or pathogens that can be creating an autoimmune response or a constant chronic immune response leading to autoimmunity. So those are parasitic, viral proteins, bacteria, fungal issues, heavy metals, obviously other chemicals there too that you come into contact with, but those are the big ones. I don't know if I mentioned mold. That's another one. And it's not too really quick. It's not too again on a soapbox. It's not to chase the bugs. It's to get the innate and adaptive immune responses strong enough so that you can combat the bugs. Because if your immune response is strong, you could freaking bathe in sewage. Like nothing can really beat you at that point. And the immune response helps with the cardiac system, the nervous system. I think the immune response is the hidden key to a lot that's going on. And it's not really hidden because everybody goes through mental, chemical, physical stress every day for naming their bodies. Okay. Hey, Doc. Hello. Jen popping in. All right, cool. Where you get these self blood draw things for Miss Bonnie? Miss Bonnie, I'm going to have my online store almost done. I was going to pay somebody to do it. Then they were going to be like, this is going to be 6 grand. And I was like, frick no. I could do this on my own when I get home and just do one letter of the alphabet a day. Um, but just for you, Bonnie, I'm going to prioritize putting those lab kits in there. Basically, if you want one right now, just send me a message. I'll give you my phone number. We could hop on the phone and order it in 2 seconds. So, but they range from 1 to 200 bucks, and they do. There's different panels. So there's like a weight loss management panel, cardiac panels, thyroid panels, hormonal panels, inflammatory panels, things like that. And now they're getting to a point to where you can customize them pretty soon here too. So you can get some customizability with everything. And like I said, it's just a little patch, goes on the shoulder, press one button, you freaking don't even feel it. I did mine a couple days ago, and the results come back in 24 hours, and there's no excess fees. The shipping, the everything is included. So, really cool stuff. We're getting to cool places, but to some people, that's anti science. So, um, you're welcome. Happy to bring a smile. There we go. Cultivative. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but sure. Okie dokie. I feel like I answered these. My uncle just had his leg amputated yesterday from diabetes. Wow, that's scary. That is scary. Docs in this country should be cross-educated in holistic health or educated health restoration. Yeah, I mean, um, that's not the job though. That's the part. Here, want to see me defend medicine? Wow, talk about neuroplasticity here. But yeah, I mean, medicine is there to save your life, and if it wasn't there, we would have people dropping left and right. Um, we live longer and longer, longer than we ever have in human history, and that's because of medicine. So it's done great things. There's amazing diagnostics, MRIs, CTs. There's amazing things that can be done there, from breaking a bone to having a heart attack or a stroke, right? To a brain surgery. And it's only going to get better. The framework is axes and hoses, drugs and surgery. It is a fire department. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a diss. That's not insulting, blah, 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 because you need those things when you're at a life altering point in your life. But what happens after that? Are we back on YouTube? Let me know. It looks like it is. Where was I? Let's say you have a heart attack or a stroke. What happens then? A statin drug and a baby aspirin for how long? The rest of your life, right? Why did you have the heart attack? Can we answer that? What are the things that the patient can do to restore these things? Nutritionally, lifestyle wise, supplementation. And it's more of a unifying thing than anything between a natural and a medical side. So, yeah, um, my profession gets bagged on for it, which is crazy. But whatever, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Yeah, my point of view is rebuild the home instead of just drugs and surgery or axes and hoses. That was the analogy there. We need to rebuild the home, and every single system is connected. So, in medicine, you have specialty based off organ systems. I mean, there's even a specialist for the foot, right? Um, but like back to the aspirin thing. Aspirin, by all the medical research, amazing for the heart. Amazing for the heart. And that's why you'll see people get put on aspirin after a heart attack. Thin the blood, let the heart pump nice and easy, help with things. I totally get it. But it thins the blood vessels, and especially the smallest ones, like in the brain. So it's really common to see stroke um, after 5 to 10 years of taking aspirin every day. So that's, again, not my opinion. That's on the back of the box. So, yeah. And people are like, peptides. Peptides are the newest. There's going to be a new thing every freaking year, dude. Peptides, it's like Ozempic's a peptide, and that has a black box label warning for thyroid cancer. So you're entitled to do what you want with your body, you know? Again, as I was going to rapid fire through these, I'm going to rapid fire through them now. There's fucking 32 comments in here. Okay. Biotin is good for hair growth, right? I would go with more of a whole food point of view. That way you can get all of the constituents within there. I would start doing something like liver glandular, and you'll get all the biotin and more. You'll get every single B vitamin and more. Okay. Docs has missed quite a bit with me over the years. Dang. What do you think of IV therapy? I think it's very useful when somebody needs something right now. In terms of vitamin C IVs, things like that, when you take single nutrient things, which I've seen a couple questions in here, when you take single nutrient things, you deplete all of the other cofactors that go along with that process. So, like the highest source of vitamin C is going to be camu camu or adrenals, adrenal tissue, highest two sources there. So, um, yeah, depends on what you need and kind of a per person thing, but there's use cases. People don't know their own bodies and don't do research. Agreed, Sue. Thoughts on low ferritin? Needs to be at least 50. Normal iron, low vitamin D, etc. Yeah, your liver's having trouble storing iron. I think I would wonder if you've had any endometriosis or really heavy cycles. And if not, I would wonder about stress patterns and stomach acid levels because not enough stomach acid will deplete B12, iron, and inhibit storage forms of that too. So there's obviously some things dietarily to do. You could do some BT-HCl, doing like a liver glandular there, or even an immune glandular, which will have spleen in there. It'll have thymus in there, so you can mature your immune cells. And yeah, but this might be a cycle issue for Miss Alexa. Um, is there anything to reverse a vasectomy? I am not a good person to ask. I don't perform surgery, so I wouldn't know. Top 5 best things for the immune system. What a wonderful question. Um, Vitamin D, number 1. Cod liver oil, number 2. Number 3, turkey tail. Number 4, reishi mushroom. Number five, astragalus. Not in any particular order, but just what comes to mind. Those are my best five. What area of medicine do you practice? None of them. When are you going to return the money you owe me? Bro, I have no idea who you are. Who the heck are you, bud? Send me an invoice. Okey doke. That's not true. In the Bible, people lived for 900 plus years. Oh, I stand corrected. I stand corrected. Look at the chats. Moses. Hey, hey, I'm here too. I'm here too. You know, we got, I'm here too. Sue, I'm not debating any of that at all. When you go to the PCP and can't get answers, hey, I totally understand where you're coming from. Totally understand. Doctor of what? Doctor of chiropractic. Feel free to disagree. We can talk it through. Can you please follow my TikTok? No. Agreed. Yes. Well, I'm getting a lot of lagging. Oh no. Maybe my connection's terrible. I get seizures. Turns on, waking every time. Tremors, anxiety, doom. 8 years now. Help. I would wonder what you're taking already, because that's going to influence some recommendations here. Um, just start with California Poppy. Just start there. I would need to know if you're on an SSRIs, SNRIs, things like that, because that's a loaded question. Those are the one of the probably some of the hardest cases to work through, mainly because of the meds. Anyways, top five. Oh, I already answered that one. Long-term effects of oral minoxidil. I would go on Hippocrates and look that up. I don't prescribe meds or surgery. I have pain in my chest sometimes, then they go away. I'm 30-year-old female, or male, not female, with no health issues. So I would wonder if you are doing any like extreme athletics, because potassium citrate will become deficient very easily. You'll also see yourself hold on to water a little bit with that same thing going on there. Stomach acid levels. Stomach sits right under the diaphragm. When that starts getting pretty low in stomach acid, you're going to have that press up on the diaphragm. That can change the angle of the heart, create some of a palpitation type of response there. Basically, just rapid beating of the heart. I had that same thing. It was my GI. I'm not saying it's yours, but it can be. Um, I had GI infections though, and really, really low commensal amounts. So, and very low stomach acid. But it can be GI related. Most guys, we eat ourselves into some problems. So for women, it's stress. For guys, it's sugar. And there's some deviation there in that. Does NeuroGum work? Contains caffeine and L-theanine. It certainly would work if those are the ingredients. L-theanine is going to help with a wakeful focus because you're influencing dopamine and a little bit of serotonin even in there too, and having good effects on the half life of cortisol. So you can slice out some of that cortisol lifeline, prevent the excess from the caffeine that's also in there. So, really smart for them putting that in there. What should I do for low iron, even if I get infusions done while diagnosed with lymphedema? So, I would focus on stomach acid and doing something like BTNHCl paired with immune glandular, is what ours is called, because there's spleen in there, there's thymus, there's liver, the highest amounts of iron in a capsule that I have. Um, you don't really want to do encapsulated reacted iron because your stools are going to turn black. You're going to feel really nauseous. People don't process it well at all. You want whole food based sources of these things, and supplements are just concentrated food products at this point. So um, I would start with those two. The lymphedema piece, that's where we got to focus on sugars and a couple other things, but some of your labs. Stress and anxiety, California poppy, and L-theanine. How do you get to know your body well? Getting labs done, that is the best way to know. So, what the? Ooh, future RN. Welcome, welcome. How do I deal with it? I'm not sure what that was in response to. I get seizures, turns. Okay, we answered that one. That means, what do you think about an adrenal nodule after a thyroidectomy and thymectomy with no chemo and radiation? Hmm, interesting. The thyroid is heavily connected to the adrenals. So, if that gland was now removed and you cannot reach excitatory amounts, um, yeah, that's probably why you have an adrenal tumor or nodule. Um, your body's trying to crank out excitatory hormone and it can't because it needs the thyroid influence. So I would do some thyroid glandular, which is going to have 120 micrograms of T3 and, or I'm getting that backwards, about 120 micrograms of T4 and about 30 micrograms of T3. I know you don't have a thyroid, but you'll be able to take in the precursors for that and even the active hormone there. And also have that glandular tissue in a capsule that's also blended with liver. Again, I'm just talking about my brand here. And sorry, this is like my thinking space. So when I'm not looking at the camera, I'm just like deep in thought here. Um, yeah, I think what's going on in the chats, I know. We're talking about people talking about smoking crack in here. I don't know. This is a health Q&A. I think they purposefully do that when they see that it's a health Q&A. Either way, Paula, send me a message. Okie dokie. Where were we? I'm gonna rapid fire through these, and then we're oh no, and then we're probably going to cut her off for tonight. Why psychiatrists never cure their patients? Neurotransmitters are made in the GI, and that's why. Faith in Jesus can heal anything. Nice comment. Facts. Why did you go straight to SSRI, SNRI? That's interesting. That's just what I see so much. I see that every time. Okay. Came off some. Nice. I'm glad. I'm glad that doses are able to come down. Any thoughts on supplementation for hypothyroid, possibly Hashimoto's? Nodules on the thyroid, Barrett's, Raynaud's. Yeah, this is, I wouldn't say possibly Hashimoto's. I would say definitely. Because once you're autoimmune, you're autoimmune. So I don't care how many autoimmune conditions get tacked onto your name. I care about what's creating the immune responses. Um, Supplementation, Romania. Romania, just great effects on stem cells and T regulatory cells and the autoimmune response. Ashwagandha as well. I like iodine and selenium here. I would get your selenium from Brazil nuts. Just eat 2 or 3 of those a day so you could save some money. Iodine is worth getting a liquid form because it's very inexpensive. You'll have that forever. Just a female breast consumes 6 micrograms a day. So you have two. And that is just for breasts alone. Um, just proper replication of cells and those things there. Also, highly connected to fibrotic tissue. So if you've had cysts, fibrosis, whether that's in the ovaries or elsewhere, or tons of breast pain, you're deficient there. That's a really common one I see. The nodules are there because it's probably trying to protect the thyroid from something that's attacking it, from the autoimmunity again. Um, this is going to be kind of extensive. I like turmeric. I like I like thyroid glandular here too because it's going to have the inactive and active forms of that. Turmeric helping with the liver and the conversion there. I don't know if I said albizia already, but that's more for histamine and mast cell responses there. Kind of a loaded question. Testing wise, I would want you to do a full thyroid with hormones panel and a food allergy test. From there, we're probably going to have to do a stool test at some point. Um, but we can certainly get your body to respond normally and calm these things down because your body's programmed to do so. As long as we find the why. American or Canadian? I'm American. Here in America. Hello, Miss Yara. Valerian root, one of Jen's favorites. It does taste like cough medicine. That's the only drawback. Ooh, surgeon. Oh, no. Let's scroll back up here. Surgeon left me no thyroid, no meds, no blood test. All hell broke loose. Still recovering 6 years. I would immediately start on thyroid glandular. You're gonna have inactive and active T forms, T forms, and active forms of thyroid hormones. Also getting the thyroid gland in there. Also getting the cofactors and all the micronutrients that you need from liver, and also the macronutrients too. Um, I also like iodine and selenium too. So just because you don't have a thyroid doesn't mean you can't do those things. And I would want to know some more about you though. It's kind of hard to just give you great answers with very limited info. Let's end the recovery process. How about that? 6 years too long. Trust the process is your screen name too. Oh my goodness. Talk about the irony. Let's make that irony reality, hey? I'm on Synthroid, okay. And you do need that, Paula. You don't have a thyroid, so it's not a bad thing. I get burning in my groin and upper legs. Would you know what it could be? 2 years now. That sounds like it's coming from your low back, my friend. Probably around L1 to L3. And you may have a bulging disc there. I would wonder about back pain, if you've ever felt any of that. If not, it can be the orientation of the femurs within the acetabulum there at the hip. Some people have some muscle imbalances or issues with that, but what would you do if, when you go, okay, so he said yes, would go? Losing brain cells. Um, I don't know what that means. Da, da, da. Okay. My fingertips get wrinkly, especially the ring finger and pinky. It's mostly when it's cold out. I think you're dehydrated, to be quite honest. I think you're dehydrated. The skin shouldn't fold that easy. My Canadian roommate didn't like what you said. That's all right. We can disagree and live in the same world. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Um, well, that's okay. And he can let me know what he didn't like. Sue says, thanks. You're very welcome, Sue. Vitamin D and vitamin A are good for kidney stones. I mean, yeah, you just want that high enough amount of K2 in there just to direct calcium. I need friends from the UK. What essential oils for heart failure? Ooh. Um, I wouldn't boil it down that simply. I would actually not even. My first thought is Neo 40, nitric oxide 40. Best thing, according to all research, to ever show repairing of vascular tissue in very high amounts and massive reductions in blood pressure. and great effects on cardiac output. I also like astragalus, similar effects. And I also like cordyceps. That's a mushroom. It actually comes from ant heads that the mushroom grows out of, which is crazy. But yes, how do I get consultation for the no thyroid 6 years? Just send me a message after this. I'm going to try and have the online store built out, and I should be at 1,000 followers here. So we just crossed 1,000. So now I could put a link in. Um, and oh my goodness, thank you for all the likes. I think Sue's going crazy. Thank you, Miss Sue. But yeah, now that we're at 1,000, I can post a link in the bio there. I will have the online store done. Actually, because trust the process just mentioned that, I'm going to bust my bottom until I get this store complete and done so that everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, freaking Twitter, Rumble, all the things can basically you can order testing. I'm just going to have to follow up to make sure all your info is correct and to the exact name on your driver's license, just because you're getting a lab done. And if that comes back to the lab and it's not you, then it's not you. So, but yeah, I'll have all the products in there, basically everything I talked about tonight. Somebody says in New Zealand, though, okay, you can still do all the same stuff. It's just we go through not MDL lab. Why am I thinking Nordic Naturals? There's a company that we use out of Sweden that correlates all the same labs and things. So you can certainly still do this. Pretty cool though. And in terms of supplementation, I can't ship supplements out of the US. It's just a lot of them are liquid. Um, and people are going to pick up that box and fricking throw it out or send it back to me. So, you know, I can find there's another brand I was using for a while um, that they do actually no, they don't sell internationally. The one on Amazon does though. Um, I'm gonna have to grab the name of it. But yeah, um, products and things they don't have everything. They don't have all the glandulars and stuff, but we can definitely do all the liquids and figure out how to figure out how to hell to get you some help. Ooh, Be Pure, top New Zealand brand. I will have to check them out. You do these things do have to be processed correctly. It takes just for a liquid herb to be manufactured. You need to have organic farms, obviously. The farms next to those farms also have to be organic. Then it all has to be planted, harvested for long enough, extracted at the right time, and extracted for long enough. So it takes at least somewhere around 6 months to do all that. And it has to be through a food grade ethanol that will ferment with that herb so that you can pull out all the essential oils, alkaloids, flavonoids, all the constituents, which are the ingredients of a single ingredient thing. Like an apple has a bunch of constituents. Um, yeah, it's just a freaking huge process. So, yes, we will do that. However, um, from the messages coming in here, I do have to order a lab for somebody. So, I want to make sure we can get that shipped out to him before the crazy snowstorm this weekend. But if I didn't get to your question on YouTube, you already have a link tree in there. TikTok, you will very soon, but send me a message for now. I do complimentary calls for the first call so we can talk things through, figure out what we need to do, and then work within everybody's budget to make sure we can take these steps and make it doable, you know. Thanks for hanging out and stay tuned. I post these on YouTube after. So if you're on TikTok trying to go find other pages, I'll post that in there too. All right.